welcome to another episode of Aging Insider Show, where we connect the unconnected, whether they want to achieve independence, earn more money. It's all about creating your best life. And I am sitting here with Sherri Snelling from the Caregiving Club. Sherri, are you prepared to provide us with insight to meet our mission here at Aging Insider?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. What I'd like for you to do is give our wisdom seekers a little bit of information about you and then a brief overview of your company.
Sure. So again, I'm Sherri Snelling, and my company is called Caregiving Club, which I started a couple of years ago. I have been in the caregiving space for the last dozen years, but I started Caregiving Club with two purposes in mind. One was to take all this vast knowledge and contacts and information that I had gained over the years and provide consulting services for companies that really understand the 65 million caregivers in the US. What are their
Wow.
needs? How do we support them? How do we find them? And how do we influence them? And then the second part was really more of a little bit my passion, which is creating content. And so I wrote a book called A Cast of Caregivers, Celebrity Stories to Help You Prepare to Care. I write blogs for Huffington Post and PBS Next Avenue and More Magazine and others. And then I create a lot of videos, and I've even done a pilot TV show, which you can see on my Caregiving Club YouTube channel. And I do webinars, and I do a lot of workshops and seminars that really help caregivers and also executives and companies understand what caregiving is all about. How do we keep ourselves healthy and well while we're caregivers?
That is excellent. You are so busy, Sherri. I mean, you are everywhere and anywhere, and most importantly, you're online so that people can access you 24 hours a day.
They can.
That's excellent. So tell me a little bit more about the Caregiving Club and why is this important? And why do you think Caregiving Club is going to make a difference?
Well, I really took an interesting angle, I think, with Caregiving Club in that, again, I've been in this field of caregiving for many, many years, and there's a lot of great information out there, good resources, lots of wonderful things, but a lot of caregivers don't know where to turn, and there's no really connectivity point. And the other thing I found is that there's great information, but it was just kind of not really resonating with folks. And so I took this pop culture kind of aspect, which I love. I'm a movie buff and a TV buff. And I decided, maybe this was a way to engage people in understanding what caregiving is about, what they should prepare for, and also show them they're not alone when they're caregivers. I mean, there's 65 million people doing this, and that includes celebrities and a lot of famous names and faces that we all know.
Yeah, I think it's great how you incorporated the pop culture aspect because the recipients of care, sometimes I feel my experience are forgotten about or just pushed to the side, and we have to bring that into the spotlight and say, like you said, how many 65 million people are caregiving. So let's bring this out, let's talk about it.
Right. And a lot of, the book really is kind of the foundation for everything that I do. One is you need good knowledge. So there's great knowledge in this book. It's really kind of the what to expect when you're caregiving guide and source book
Love
for
it.
people. It's the celebrity stories because, again, I'm fascinated by them. I know we all are. And knowing that Joan London went through this,
Hmm.
Holly Robinson Pete, Marg Helgenberger, who was on CSI. I mean, there's so many people out there, famous people who have been engaged in caregiving, so we're not alone. And then learning how to not only communicate, because that is a gap in caregiving. We don't know how to start those tough conversations with maybe an older parent, but also how do we care for ourselves? That's the one big thing I saw is that caregivers tend to kind
Right.
of start to neglect themselves. So how do we get that balance back in their lives?
What kind of feedback are you hearing from caregivers out there?
Well, I can tell you I've had wonderful, fantastic comments on my website and on my blogs. Lots of really great, reaction. I write for the Alzheimer's Association, and typically when we post one of my blogs, within the first 20 minutes, we have 800 people on Facebook commenting on it and adding their own information. And I've been honored by, some organizations out there. Share Care, which was a health and wellness expert site started by Dr. Oz, we all know. They did a top 10 list of Alzheimer's influencers online, and I was number 4 on that list, so I was very honored by that.
Yeah.
And then just recently, I was very excited because I felt like, okay, it is taking hold. There's a group called Caregiver Reviews, and they review websites and blogs, and they called Caregiving Club the MTV of caregiving. And they said our videos are some of the best out there to really engage caregivers on how to care for themselves, but in a fun, entertaining way.
That's fantastic. And that's what the industry needs, is fun and entertaining. And it must be such a confirmation to have so much engagement from the content that you put out there. There is absolutely a need for people to express what they're going through and how to find others who are going through that as well.
Right. Well, and I'm one of those entrepreneurs. I just believe that if you do what you're passionate about and interested in, I mean, I'm interested in the celebrity side of things, and I'm interested in
Yep.
the TV shows that are showcasing caregiving. I thought, well, if I'm interested in it, I hope other people are, and certainly that's what I'm finding.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put the link to your book below. And we've probably covered this, or I know we've covered this. Who should go out and buy this book right now?
Well, of course, I'm going to say everybody. And the reason why is this. First of all, if you're caregiving right now, you may already have some resources, but you may not know about a lot of things out there that can still help you. We talked earlier about things like pet therapy and music therapy. These are often things that caregivers don't, your doctor is not going to tell you about this, or your parent's doctor. So the book is helpful to current caregivers, but it's also really helpful to all of us, because caregiving is a role we will play in our lifetime. And so, how do we prepare a little bit better? How do we understand what might be coming and where we can turn for help? And there are 1.5 million children in the US under the age of 18 who are caregiving today. So it's not just when you become a baby boomer that you need to worry about caregiving. It can really happen at any age. So that's why I say the book is for everybody.
Yeah. And I also, in my experience, I found that caregiving happens at times very suddenly. And
Yeah.
that leaves the person who's going to caregive possibly unprepared where to turn, what resources are available to leverage their time, especially if they're still raising young children or if they're in school themselves. How do they juggle it all? And I feel like it just happens suddenly with a lot of people. How can they be better prepared?
Right. Well, and you touched upon something. I know we're in July. I think this will be broadcast on your channel in July,
Yeah.
but this is National Sandwich Generation Month, which is that segment of caregivers who are still caring for children at home, but now all of a sudden they've got an older parent to care for as well. So they're really sandwiched in between those two generations. And you're right. I think I call it the caregiving cliff. I find that we enter caregiving in a crisis. We don't know what to do, but we have to act swiftly. And what happens is you're putting both your health and your wealth at risk when you don't prepare a little bit, know a little bit more about what you might be facing.
Sure. Okay, you guys, everyone buy the book and go to Caregiving Club and find out, because it's just one of those things you don't think everything is going fine, everyone's healthy, and then one day, where do you turn? And so I think it's a great, absolutely, I know it's a great resource. So Sherri, what's next for you? What's coming up next on your plate for Caregiving Club?
Well, as you said, we have so many different things going on. We
You sure
often
do.
hit the red carpet to talk to celebrities about caregiving. So you can see that on my YouTube channel. And even people like George Clooney have been, caregivers in the past. So that's kind of fun for folks. But I'm doing consulting for different companies. And I'm doing a webinar series that if you are employed and you want to learn more about caregiving, or you are a caregiver, but you're on the job and you need to know how to balance, find out from your company if you have a life care benefit. That's the name of the company. And that's the company I do the webinars for. You have to have that code to access these monthly webinars, but every month we do an hour-long session where we talk about things like senior driving challenges and how to make the home safer for your loved one. So all these different things, and it's a wonderful series. We're getting really phenomenal feedback. And in fact, GE, who's one of the clients of Life Care, said we want to take these webinars to our global employee audience. So we're global now.
That's exciting. Well, it's a message that has to be out there in the biggest way possible. So GE sounds like a great partner to do that with. So congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic. Well,
Yes.
let me end with this. Although I could talk to you all day long. What is your, since you are an entrepreneur, what is your favorite success quote or quote to keep you motivated during the day?
There's so many of them, and I have to tell you, in my book, I use quite a few quotes to start each chapter, so you'll find those. But I think the one that really has always been part of my business and personal mantra is actions speak louder than words. And that's probably odd coming from a writer because obviously words are, my business, but it's really about using the information we have or taking the good intention we talk about and really putting it into action. That's what counts in life.
Perfect. And one last thing, since you are on the go, writing on the computer, blogging, YouTube, webinars, what is your favorite internet resource to leverage your time?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me this, and there are so many. I have to say that I really love Twitter because it's kind of like
Yes.
a cocktail party where I can quickly get some things out, whether it's a great article or news, and comment on things that are happening. And then I also really love Facebook because that's how I can help update folks who are interested in what Caregiving Club and I'm doing. It's a quick update for everybody, and then we can share comments and information. So I would have to say those are probably my two favorites right now.
I agree. Those are two great sites I have to pull myself away from sometimes. Well, Sherri, thank you for sharing all of your insight, the Caregiving Club, your book, A Cast of Caregivers, and all the great work you're doing out there. Keep rocking on out there. And you guys visit Sherri, check out the book. I have all the information down below. And if you have any questions, she's on Twitter. So tweet Sherri. And until next time, you guys, have a great week. Bye bye, everyone.
Thanks, Becca.
Hey you, where are you going? Stick around for another video. Left or right? Left or right? Hey, don't forget to subscribe.